Okay, so this was for standard costing, and it is for the uh, case where we have normal losses, and how do we deal with normal losses in the context of materials. So let's go step by step. So if you look, there are three chemicals here, A, B, and C. They have given you the percentage of total input. Now, what is that? That is the mix for the standard product. So this 50, 30, 20 is the standard mix, remember. And they have given you the standard costs also. And they have mentioned that there is a process loss of 5% during the course of manufacture. And then they have given you the actual consumption, the quantity and the cost. Output of the finished product is 10,200 kgs. Okay. Now, if this is 10,200 kgs, it is obviously after the, remember this is the, we'll have to see that going by a standard 5% normal loss, and output of 10,200 kgs would mean how much of standard quantity which is required for this output. So that will be, if this is 95%, then what is 100%? That's the question that you need to ask yourself. Okay, which is very simple. This will be 10,200 into 100 by 95. So that is 10,000. I'll just round it off. That is 10,737 kgs of standard input, mind you, because standard input से 5% आपको normal loss ये करना है. So this is what, this becomes your standard quantity for actual production. So I'll plot this here for the three chemicals A, B, and C. The standard quantities for actual production will be what? 10,737 into your standard proportions are also given. 50%, 30%, and 20%, right? So that will become 10,737 into 50%, 10,737 into 30%, 10,737 into 20%. Correct? So when you add this up, what should you get? You should get 10,737. So I will just add it up. So that makes it 10,737. ठीक है? इसमें से we will reduce what? We will reduce the normal losses of 5%, which comes to 537. And therefore you will get what? 10,200 kgs, which is your standard quantity required for actual production. Okay. Now we will also plot the standard prices which are given to you. 40, 60, and 95. Then the actual quantities. Actual quantities are given to you 5,200, 3,600, and 1,700. So what does it tell you? That your actual quantity is 10,500 kgs. But you have produced how much? 10,200 kgs. So what is your actual normal loss? 300 kgs. Understood? We had planned for 537 kgs of normal loss, but we have done with 300 kgs of normal loss. What about the actual prices? They are not given, but we can find it out. So 2,34,000 divided by this quantity, right? 2,19,600 divided by this quantity, and 1,58,100 divided by this quantity. So this becomes your actual prices. So we can get a standard cost then, which is the standard quantity into standard price. पानी देने के लिए बोला था अभी 1 घंटा हो गया. ओके मैं आऊँ क्या ऊपर पानी देने के लिए आपको मैं आ जाता हूँ नहीं मैडम. This is your standard cost 6,12,000, right? What will be the actual cost? That will be actual quantity into actual price. Which is 6,11,700. So we can get our material cost variance. Our material cost variance is standard cost minus actual cost. Which is just 300 rupees, and that is favorable because my actual cost is lower than my standard cost. Okay. Then we will do the material price variance, which is standard price minus actual price into actual quantity. You will see that the price variance is negative. What does it mean? इतना देर लग गया आपको एक पानी लाने में? हाँ? So you will see that your price variance is 26,200 negative, and that is because of material or chemical A, which should have been procured at 40 rupees per kg, but we spent 45 per kg. That was the reason for the price variance. Now we will come to material usage variance, which is your standard quantity minus actual quantity multiplied by standard price. So that is 26,500 rupees favorable. Right? Now, what is the next step? We have done material cost variance, price variance, and usage variance. Next, we have to find out RSQ, revised standard quantity, which is, what is the definition? It is the actual quantity broken up in standard proportions. So your actual quantity ये है 10,500 kgs. This you have to break up into standard proportions, 50%, 30%, and 20%. Right? Now, we can get what? Our material yield variance, which is SQ, standard quantity, minus RSQ into SP. Right? And this we will do for all. So you will see that your yield variance is very bright, and that we got to know even before we constructed this, right? Remember when we were plotting the normal losses, you saw that you have consumed lower kgs also, right? And also your normal losses have been lower, which means that your yield variance is good. And then finally your material mix variance, which is RSQ minus AQ multiplied by SP. And then we will add this and you get 13,000. So your mix variance is also favorable. Now, if you add both of these, what happens when you add both of these? 13,500 yield variance plus 13,000 mix variance, you get 26,500, which is your usage variance. So we have been able to split our usage variance into yield variance and mix variance. So clear? Now, why do we say yield variance here? Why is this yield variance? Because we are comparing SQ and RSQ. Now, RSQ is what? RSQ is your actual quantity which is broken up in standard proportion. So in SQ and RSQ, what is the same? The mix is the same. What is the difference? The yield is different. That's why this is yield variance. In mix variance, we are comparing RSQ and AQ. Now, both are actual quantities, because RSQ is also actual quantity broken up in standard proportion. So in both cases, the actual quantity is the same. What is different? The mix is the difference. That is why this is captured in mix variance. So what we have done in this case is we have solved for all the variances. First, we start with the broad layer of cost variance. Try to dig deep and find out how much is the cost variance because of the price and how much because of usage. Then we dig one level deeper, and we also see how much of the usage is caused by yield and how much by mix. Now, in this case, mostly everything is okay except your price. So the only action item that will come is probably to renegotiate the chemical prices for A and I think only A, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, A and B. Everything else seems okay. So that is the core objective of standard costing and how we deal with normal losses and the quantum of normal losses, if they are different from the budgeted, what kind of an impact it can have on your estimates and actuals. Okay. Thank you.